guess maybe where let me just start and introduce myself and when I was in band and what I played. My name's Richard Powell. I marched from 1996 to 2000. And so I was an electrical engineer, computer science major. So that makes a lot of sense for my involvement with um, CalChart. And so I played trombone. I lived at TH four-ish of the 5 years, like a little bit more than that. I worked in room Q. But I was never on like a structured position. So I was probably a little bit involved with the marching, I think I was a TA for a little bit, but never involved like super involved with things. However, I was a computer science major, and one of the projects that we had, so I remember it was so in the CS programs, they had a project about computer graphics. And so it was one of your like it was the sort of senior classes that you would get to take if you've been doing computer science for a while. And it was one of those really cool classes because it's graphics. It's very interesting. As you can do a lot of with graphics. And I took the class with a fellow bandsman, Andrew Way. And so Andrew Way and I were both marching, and we were both in the graphics class. And it was a sort of, well, what, you have essentially, you do a full semester of learning about all the sort of stuff that's involved with graphics and computers and how you can do ray tracing and all the ways you draw things. And you have a final project that you're supposed to do. And we were like, well, what should we do? And we're like, well, wouldn't it be interesting if we could do a graphics program involving the Cal band? Like, what if we made a sort of viewer for CalChart like that you could see what was happening on the field? And so it was an interesting thing because the way CalChart is maintained is a it's a very it's we can maybe get into like what CalChart and how it works, but it's a little bit of a heavy duty program for most normal students who are like working. It's really hard to be a Cal bandsman, like being in the Cal band and being a student, but then also trying to maintain a program like CalChart. It's like really kind of difficult to do all of those. And so CalChart's always been one of those sort of like, well, someone else maintains it. Like even when I was in band. And I remember we were like, well, let's see if we could make CalChart like, can we give it a graphical user interface? Like something that would like look like you would see in the band. And I mean, I could even like sort of show a little bit because I was actually playing around with CalChart just right now, as I often do on my nights and weekends, as I spend a little bit of time like playing around with the program. So if I were to share sort of my screen here. We'll get into an awkward little effect here. This is a Cal chart as it is right now. And so if I bring up one of the shows, this would be what you would see if you're creating a show for, like if you're on stunt or in the drum major. And so the project that Andrew and I added is this OmniView program. So the idea being is you could sort of see what we would see. And if I, you can animate the show, and it was a graphics program where we put in all these little sprites and had them move around. And if I think if I can't remember how I move, what's the control? Right. So you can sort of zoom in. And if you notice, all of the marchers on the field they're all Andrew Way. Like we had him take pictures of himself, and they're all just like photos that we took down at BRH, him in all the various marching positions. So like that's basically him like immortalized in this program marching around on the stage. And so this was our sort of project. And when we didn't actually have it incorporated into CalChart. We took assets from CalChart and then made it work. And so that it was a whole lot of fun. It was a really great project. Learned a lot about programming, but didn't learn too much about CalChart. After I graduated, about the time I graduated, some of us were like, hey, maybe we should rewrite CalChart. And I sort of started working full time in the industry. And I actually found that um, and like try to learn this program. So I started working on CalChart and supporting it in about 2002, 2003. Um, and I've been maintaining it sort of ever since. There's been previous people who started CalChart and maintained it. I have to mention Girk Meeker, who graduated 2 years before me. And then before that, you had Dan Isaacson and other people who put the program together. And so I see it as like a legacy of like there's been this maintaining by alumni of the program. Although I guess I've been maintaining it for a while. And so what I've been doing is I work on the program, I keep it alive, I develop it, I start adding features to it, and once in a while, some of the students who've been on computer comm or other students who've worked on it or have looked into it, like they've like contributed to it, and I've reached out and we've worked together. Um, in fact, some of the previous contributors to CalChart, like I, so there was Kevin Duran, not the basketball player, Kevin Duran, who marched in band. He actually was maintaining some of the work on CalChart, reached out to me, he had some ideas, and I was like, "Wow, you're really great. Do you want an internship?" And we arranged for him to have an internship. It like eventually worked into a job, and it was a great like sort of career path for him. Um, Arjun, who also like helped out with it, like same sort of thing. Like I was like, hey, do you want an internship? You could come do an internship with our company, and eventually got a job. And so it's been an opportunity for other people to learn about programming, help out with the band, and do other things. Now, an interesting side is I was never on stunt. I was not like in the drum major stuff. I actually never charted a show. And it's this sort of thing is like I'm maintaining this program where I'm like, I think this is the way that someone would use it, but I've actually never used it myself to make a full show. And so I think it's a little bit of I rely on the feedback I get from the Cal bands people, and it's been an interesting thing. CalChart is a program that has a user base of like maybe 10-ish people, like 20 people. Like the people who are actually creating shows, it's not that many. There's a lot of people, maybe more people viewing it. But it's a very uniquely Cal band thing where it's made by it's made by the students, it's maintained by the community, it's created, and you end up with this program that really serves the band. Well, I hope it serves the band well. I hope I'm uh, allowing the band to continue to create what they need. Um, and I'm just happy to be part of it. So,
Awesome. Some of those, some of the lore I knew, some of the lore I didn't. Uh, that's really fun to know. I and answered actually a lot of the questions we had, but I'll ask some of them. Um, Favorite feature. I know you talked a lot about OmniView, but I was curious if there's any of the other features that you've added more recently that have taken like a new favorite spot or.
well, so one of the features I was like, oh, I just missed the sort of pandemic on that. I don't know if it's also widely known, is this feature I added for the well, so in terms of like what I would, you know, the way I talk about the program when I tell people about it, I've got CalChart, I've got my viewer program. I added these little like preview slides on the side where you can kind of see what's going, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I added this tiny animation frame here. Um, One of the ones I'm particularly happy about was the previous version when I was in band, you would have the view you would see, and maybe this is actually still the default view on some of the versions, is this sort of dot view. And this is the classic, like, hey, these are the dots, and you see, and the I what I remember when I first saw CalChart and explained to me from is like, oh, well, it's blue because that's the predominant color of the marcher when they're on the side, and then you have yellow because that's the capes, and then you have white because it's the vest and the breastplate. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of interesting. But then I added this idea of sprites when I was playing around with it, and it's like, oh, hey, there's these really like I took the I mean, Andrew Way again immortalized is all of these little tiny people walking around, and I think it adds like a certain sort of like Nintendo-esque 8-bit sort of quality where we have them sort of marching like in a field. And it's like, I think it's just kind of cute. And I've added like little tiny, um, I can't even remember where I put them, is abilities to make them larger or smaller as you see fit. And so I thought that was I was a little proud of this one feature because I was like, oh, look, I can combine my graphics program that I did before and the little sprites program. And yeah, actually, I don't even know, like maybe Ali could comment. It's like, do people know about this? Like, I put this out there. I'm not sure anyone uses this. Like,
I don't think it's on my version. I think I'm out of date.
it's one
I
of
don't
these,
have the
like, yeah,
Sprite. I don't have the Sprite box at all. So maybe it's a Mac thing.
yeah. No, it should be there on everything. I try to make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's one of
I
these.
actually use a lot of the Windows specific hacks.
There you go. The other one that I'm kind of actually I added this feature which just recently, and I haven't even figured out. I shouldn't say I shouldn't haven't figured it out if it's useful, but I added the ability to draw curves. And this is not a easy thing to do because I was like, I don't even know what curves means for the Cal band. Like when we were in band, like it was very, you know, square space. And so like having curves, I wasn't even sure like how you would do it. So I think like my little curve box, like, is it this one? No, it's curves are here. So you draw like a little curved line. And I was so happy that I was like, I have curves. And then you can take, wait, how do I do the curves right? I get back out of curve mode and then I can take marchers and what you can do is you can assign somebody to a curve and then they're suddenly like stuck to the curve. And then like, so marchers, you can assign people to curves and you can change the curve. So it's like these little features that I've added and I'm like, these are kind of interesting. And like, I can then take the curve and sort of move it or like edit the curve. What I haven't
It's
figured out so
amazing.
much is once you have a curve, what does it mean to have people march on a curve? So we have curves. I don't know quite what to do with it. So
Makes script cal so much easier.
yeah, it could make script cal sort of easier. But the thing I think you'd really need to add is a follow the leader. And then I'm like, how do I express follow the leader? These are the types of things where I'm like, I work, I'll say sometimes what I'm doing is I'm maintaining CalChart in isolation. I get a little feedback from the students. Um, I think there's an opportunity to get a little bit more feedback. I'm just really happy if it works for the students and if there's bugs that can be fixed and addressed and like everyone gets like I want the band to look great. My goal has always been like, what can I do to help the band look great? Uh, so so yeah, I think the big features, if I were to sum it up, is I'm very happy with the sort of sprite-like drawing that I added, and I was like, that's kind of cute. It sort of brought things together. I'm kind of interested in like, are curves a useful feature for the band in the future? Um, and mostly, I'm just happy to help maintain it and make it work.
Um, uh, what do you enjoy about maintaining CalChart? I feel like you've kind of answered this, but just to have it very specifically in a snippet.
So what it is I think there's with a lot of large, like when you have so I work as a software engineer and you have a larger job and uh, I wouldn't say you're expected to solve a problem, but you're working sort of in a larger problem and you don't really have so much control over everything. CalCharts for me has been a place to express different ideas. And it's sort of it reminds me of like being in school where I wouldn't say you're the consequences for failure. I think as a student, you should have the opportunity to fail. And that's why I always think internships are a great opportunity for students to take because it means you get to try something out. And if you don't like it, don't, or if you don't do good at your internship, that's not a failure. That's like, that is an opportunity to learn. And so for working on CalChart, it's always been for me an opportunity to learn, to work on something that is, it's a large enough project where it's pretty complicated and usable. And I've had a little bit of creative control on like sort of like I can change things around and make it work in this way. Um, I don't want to make it sound like I'm like trying to control how CalChart works and what the band should do, but I've been using it as like a place to learn. And for me, that's been really a valuable opportunity to learn all these different facets about programming that I wouldn't normally get in my day-to-day job. And I think it also uh, allows me to just remember what it was like to be in band. Like it is that sort of thing of like picking up a show and like I have a couple of like printed out charts from back in the 90s and I'm like looking at those and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And then I can open up the actual show and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Um, Nowadays, I think with there's the CalChart viewer, and I think a lot of people use the VOOP sheets. Call out to Kevin Duran who put all of that together, and I think that's like for me, it's so fascinating. It's like how this idea came up organically, people create it, and then you have something for it. So yeah, that's the thing I really enjoy about working on it.
What did CalChart look like before, like, I guess like in its like initial iteration? Like what did it used to be?
Well, so some of the technical details. So the CalChart version that I have is actually pretty similar to what we have now. So like I haven't really dramatically changed it. I think my understanding is before it was a lot more like you do text and then you would print it out. I think when it gets to like CalChart's actually two programs. And I think as a marcher, like the way I was, I always just thought of it as like I got these poop sheets. Or I got like, and I think maybe the marchers today would get these VOOP sheets. And you would like you'd look and you'd see what you would do. And that is like I'd say like maybe a third or to a quarter of the functionality of CalChart. CalChart is actually so in that regard, that's like the viewing side of it, the printing out, the seeing what I can see. The creation tool, like how you create something, if you've ever charted a show or you're the drum major, that's like a very different tool than the viewing side. The viewing side's like, hey, everything's easy to do, but creation tool is really hard. I think that the viewing tool was probably just about like where it was today with the printing side, and that's changed a lot with the web viewer, the VOOP sheets. The creation side, I think we've one of the things that's actually changed a lot was, and I'm not sure if actually if you guys are charting nowadays, like this sort of continuity editor over here. I'm not sure if this is familiar to be used. It used to be the case that you would almost have like a typed in compiler language. Like you would type in all of the continuities that people would do. And this is more of a graphical sort of, you can add continuities and you can set them all up. But it used to be like almost like you would describe in a programming language what people would do. I've changed it in the last sort of years where you can have this drop down of what the next continuity would be. But it used to be the case you had to remember all of these little commands or and exactly the syntax. So I think what we've done is we've evolved it from being less user friendly to being slightly more user friendly. I wouldn't say it's completely user friendly. It's just slightly more user friendly for the creator. And the viewing side, I think we've made it easier for so many other people to view it. It used to be before the only way really to distribute the show was to, print to, it used to be you could only print a postscript. And I don't even know if people know what postscript is anymore. But now you can print out to PDF and other viewers. And I don't even think people really print anymore. They probably just use the web view mostly now. So that's really evolved a lot. So I think what it's done is the programs become easier for more people to use and the tools they expect.
That's crazy. So much of this stuff, it's like, I mean, I'm still editing PostScript files this semester.
Oh, you are? Oh,
Yeah,
we have PDF here. Maybe we should talk because like there's a bunch of stuff in here. Like I probably should give it to her. I have a couple of YouTube videos I put out on this
I
stuff
have
too.
watched your YouTube videos.
Oh my, okay, so that's the number that's moved up from 9 to 10.
Yeah, I, I, I definitely need to delve in more. My stunt wants like a whole like document of like we want to make like a I know there's like the like how-to guide that is on CalChart, but they want like a whole like me to make like a Google Doc that has like here's what all the tools do based on the outline.
Yeah, there's actually when you start looking at all the sort of like stuff in here, like there's all these unusual buttons. I'm like, okay, you go forward, backwards, great, got it. These are the sides of it, and I think it's like some of these. I actually I have to be reminded what this is the magic move, and I'm like, I don't even know what magic move does, and I'm like, I
I
work,
don't know either. What does
and
Magic Move do?
I think magic move. The idea being with magic move is you sort of well, let me get out of like yeah. So magic move, I think if I remember correctly, I take magic move, I set three vectors of marchers. Nope, don't know where it is. And that is one of these. There's a lot of details here and other things. And, we have over the years thought about should there be a redesign on what's the better way to do it. I think that is a worthy thing for people in the band to help with trying to figure it out because I don't, like I said, I'm actually well, I'm many years out of the Cal band. The band's evolved. And I don't want to dictate what the band should be like.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to help with the band and apply my expertise on how things should work. But I don't think it's my place really to say how the band should be. That should be what the students do. They should figure out how they want to march and what they want to show and the styles that they want and the way they want to draw their shows and make it so that they can express what they want. I'd love to help. And I think, I've always wondered if like, hey, should this program like, could CalChart be a purchase program? Could you instead like should we license it from someone else? Should we buy a program that helps people march? But I think then you would be tied into that other style. So I think there's it's a tough problem, which is how do we make a program that works for the band? How can the band contribute to it? Um, but yet make it a useful program that isn't just full of these unusual things that after a couple of years, people are like, I don't know what this actually does. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how to do it. Maybe there are ways like over the years that we can help it together. In fact, maybe I think if this is Alumni Band Day, I'll even put out to some of the alumni. I think maybe there's a potential like scholarship opportunity or a summer sort of code opportunity for people who are in band who want to like maybe they could help with CalChart as a way of partnering with a professional engineer or someone in the industry to help them make a feature.
Yeah, awesome. Um, okay. Back to talking about features. Um, what features have been built via feedback from band members?
Oh, I'll actually talk about a feature that okay, so well the curves for sure came as a thing from students. I'll talk about like another one that came from students that actually I don't know if a lot of people know about. I think there was um, so we've got the color here, and I was like, well, can we adjust the colors? And so there is this concept of a color palette. So if you double click here, you can actually go, hey, this is default palette. And so I think some people are like, well, can I change the color? And I'm like, well, yeah, why not make it so that you can choose any of the details and you can say, well, I want to change the color of the field to be blue, like this lime blue here. Why not? And so let me see if I no, how do we get there? So it would be blue. Or well, maybe that's a hideous color. Let's go with this. And so you would end up with these sort of ideas of like, I can choose different colors. Um, apparently, Zoom is interfering with my ability to select a color. Get away. Oh, it's just right. There you go. So my field detail, I can change the color to be another color, and then I would be able to close this window. And this came from feedback from students like, I'd like to change things. And so, yeah, it's so you can do these hideous color things. And then I think I made it, and not a lot of people know about, but you can export this color palette as a file and then email it to somebody else. And then your friend who is working on the same project could open that template and get those same colors. So that was a direct from the feedback from students that were like, oh, I'd love to change the color of particular points. So let me just go, yeah, back to the default color. Um, so that was a fun little feature that came from the students. Another one that actually really is a huge shout out to some of the students who worked on this was one of the features that people wanted was, well, if I have everyone marching on one screen and I've got people on the other one, is there a way for us to, instead of manually putting the continuity, um, have it so people can auto figure out where they need to go? And this one actually was, it wasn't a feedback from students that gave it to me. This was a self-funded project that I actually had no idea what was happening. It's called the Transition Solver. And I think this was a project that was worked on by like a computer science class. So the idea being is that CalChart Transition Solver was spring of 2008, which was these students that worked on this idea of like, well, given a position of people and the way to go there, can you set up a set of instructions? So we'll say these sections, and I actually don't even really know how to do it. So you can sort of try to figure out, have the computer figure out the best solution for everyone to march from one screen to another. And that one was like maybe not feedback from students to help it, like, but students themselves working on a problem within CalChart to actually make it work. So I think that would be like by far the most amazing thing is like a bunch of people, oh yeah, look, so I found a solution that lasted like 56 beats and it'll try to figure out the next best one. So that like the idea being is it figures out how to transition from one to another. I think this was featured in like, um, yeah, okay, so, and then I think if we apply, or if we close it and then we can like see it animate and let me see, I think it should, yeah, it does some random walk for everyone to get to the next spot and solved. So those two features would be the ones I'd call out.
It's really fun because I think it's like one end we have like how the designer like originally intends to make the tool. And then there's like a whole another end of how we actually end up using the tool. And I feel like with the auto solve, we don't always use it to solve the transitions as much as we use it to see if the transition is physically possible in the first place. And from that perspective, then we can like try and figure out how to make it like a better like transition from a marcher's perspective.
So are you on stunt or are you on PR com? Like, or did you chart a show? I'm curious.
Oh, I'm the drum major this year.
Oh, Shay. Oh, I thought you were. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. No, like edit that out. No. Um, so
No worries. Anyways, I think we're just gonna ask some more general questions for the most part. Um, since graduating from Cal Band, how have you stayed connected as a Cal Band alumni?
Oh, I'm actually pretty involved with a number of spots. So what happened was, so after I graduated, I kept in touch with the CBAA, and now the Cal Band Alumni Association has a very interesting uh, leadership structure. It's anyone who runs a nonprofit, this is brilliant, which is if you are the vice president of the CBAA, you have a 2-year term, and you must become the president of the CBAA for the 2 years after that. So it's this really interesting thing is they get you. They get you like, oh, just oh, you want to be involved with the CBAA? Well, just be the vice president. And then you after you read the bylaws, you're like, wait, now I'm going to be here for 4 years now? Is that what that means? And yes, it's a really fun way to capture people in. But no, it's great. So I was involved with the CBAA. I did ran a couple of alumni band days, a lot of fun. And I've been super involved with Tellefson Hall. So I lived in TH, and after I graduated, I joined the board, and I was the board president for 14 years there. So being super involved with that. And so it's like TH has that it's sort of the home of the Cal band. It's slightly askew from the band, but it's like being able to see how the band evolves, and being involved with Berkeley and being involved with the community has been really great. And then more recently, it's just going to NorCal parties. Um, I haven't participated in Alumni Band Day as much. Um, I have a friend, Michael Holmes, alumni, call him out. It's like, I remember I used to be like, how come I never see you at an alumni band day? He's like, I'm always at an alumni band day. You guys look great up there in the stands. I was watching you guys. So I would say I don't get a chance to go up to Cal games. I don't get a chance to go up to basketball games. Um, I do like to, I'm always cheering for Cal. But my involvement over the last couple of years has been more with TH and more with uh, giving to at the NorCal parties and participating there. I really like it is an interesting thing. The alumni Cal Band was such a great part of my life, and I really enjoyed being part of it. And in fact, a lot of my friends, we still get together about once a month or once every couple of months. My former, like my my roommates from TH, we still get together for dinner. Uh, my friends from band who we march together, we still get together at TH meetings or once a month or just talk. And my wife marched baritone at the same time I did in Cal Band, and we met in band, and so yeah, that is so there's this whole Cal Band family and involvement there.
Awesome. I was gonna say, I was like, I feel like I remember you from TH meetings. I lived there for 2 years when I freshman and sophomore years. It was a very great experience.
No, you can come back for your 5th year. It's great.
I know people who did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to cover, Allie? I just want to make sure.
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. Awesome. This was awesome. This is like really so great because like I was not sure like what I was gonna learn, but there's so many features of CalChart. Every time I learn something new. I
Yeah,
feel like my personal favorites have got to be
oh yeah, what
I
are
love the
your
path
personal favorites
feature.
of the band? Like, okay, well, so yeah,
I love the path feature. That's a great feature.
the path feature. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of these features I added. Like, oh my God, I added that like 20 years ago. Like, that's a pretty cool feature. Or do you know about the
Yeah.
Ghost?
Yes. Ghost and path are like together like my favorite like and I love that you can ghost whatever sheet you want. I was like doing tunnel transition recently, making the tunnel transition. It was so helpful.
Yeah. That's a good one. And then oh yeah, Path was a great one. So then oh, apparently I closed that window. So what are the features? Okay, what are the bugs you don't like? Like, might as well get them out of the way.
The things that are the hardest for us is just, at least for me personally, as like a Windows user, like it's very annoying to like not be able to change continuities or like delete them. Um,
That doesn't work. Wait, so
no, like I just changed them all to my mark time zero.
what
It's
version
like
of
a known thing.
so we're up to 3.8.1. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I just got a new laptop, so I'm gonna have to re-download it like today. So,
okay. Well, so it is sort of a thing that I've been working on, which is to try to make the releases more consistent and more stable, and so that they're put out there. It was a case that there's this sort of interesting thing is I eventually see that CalChart, like as a standalone application, might need to move to a model where it's more like in a browser sort of thing because it's just harder to download. Like the big tech companies are making it a little more difficult for independent application developers or open source development to continue. Um, but to that end, I've been trying to make it so that like this is stuff. Oh, I didn't even mention this sort of thing about the why do I like to use CalChart? What have I learned? So one of the things that's interesting about CalChart is, and this is going to be super nerdy. This is going to be maybe like most people won't really get this, but CalChart is built like in terms of software, you have like a bunch of software you write, and then you have a UI framework. And the way like an app looks, like all of the details on the way the app looks, is built on your framework. And in the when you build for Windows, you can use the Windows framework, and when you build for the Mac, you can use the Mac framework. And Mac really loves Objective-C and Swift, and Windows has their Microsoft Foundation classes, and Linux has their Motif sort of frameworks. But there are these frameworks that exist that are cross-functional frameworks. The idea being is you can build it for one platform and it can release on the Mac and the Windows, and it should look basically consistent. And there's a couple of frameworks out there, and the CalChart is built on what's called WX widgets. And it's a lesser known framework. It was something I think Girk and the other engineers who set it up a long time ago, they said, hey, this is a good framework to use. And it's actually been kept alive for a very long time. There's a lot of open source projects that use this. And WX widgets is not, I'd say, the most popular of frameworks, but it is a functional framework and it works across everything. And it's where I learned about UI frameworks. I'm actually giving a talk. I've given talks at conferences and other sort of engineering communities sort of things on how WX widgets works because through this work on CalChart, I become like an expert on this sort of framework and how it works. And I've contributed to the sort of library and to the knowledge base of this. And in fact, actually, I gave a talk just 6 months ago at a conference where it was like I was talking about the framework, and I'm like, yeah, the reason I know this framework is because of CalChart, because the Cal band, and it was like that was a big part of my like presentation. So it's been one of these interesting sort of journeys where I've learned so much about programming, learned so much about my job, and learned so much about what I love through the fact that I've been maintaining this over the years.
amazing. That's a great snippet, Allie. You should use that one.
So.
Anyways, yes, I honestly have found CalChart to be very friendly to me. All things considered,
Does it crash a lot? I guess with the so
this
continuity
crashes
stuff.
less than it used to, I think, because I haven't had it crash. I don't have it crash when I'm doing things.
Okay.
So like that's useful. Like it crashes when I'm trying to open things after
Ah,
it's been open for a while. So like that's fine. Like it doesn't crash when I'm like in the middle of a project, which is useful.
yes. Yeah.
Like it's at a very acceptable level where I'm like, I can't get mad at it. For being what it is, like it works great.
Well, and if this video ever goes watched by other people like who are working on CalChart, there is a place to report bugs. I think one of your stunt members, or was it you, reported a bug recently about crashing with something, and I literally just fixed it this last weekend and put out a new release of it. So, like, so. I'm here to help. Like I try to follow what's going on. Like sometimes my life gets up and down, but when I get feedback from the students about how it's working, I love to. I mean, I'm like, it's one of those because I work on this. And I'm like, is there anybody out there? Is anyone downloading this? Is anyone using it? And then when someone says, "Oh yeah, this crashed," I'm like, "Yay, you're using it!" Oh, sorry, it crashed, but yay, you're using it. And so I've been super happy about getting that sort of feedback on things.
And I will tell them who were supposed to submit that because I forgot. It's probably like someone from like my year or older.
Okay, do you want me to call them out? Because
Yeah, sure.
let's see. Let's Cal chart. So actually, maybe that side of it, like actually, a little bit of a screenshot sort of flow here on maybe some of the stuff that I do. That might be sort of just like for posterity. So Cal charts maintained on Git. For people who are super nerdy, this is what like open source sort of looks like. It's got a page. It's actually open source, so this is for anyone to see what's going on. Um, oh, look, we've got, like, hey, forks. Some people have forked off the project, 12 stars. That's pretty cool. Issues that have come up. So I maintain the sort of milestones of what's been fixed. Got a bunch of closed milestones. So this recent one, um, crashes when any dot type is deleted by Pinky Bar. Okay.
I have no idea who that is.
Well, you'll figure out who Pinky Bar is. And so what happens is, for instance, what I will be doing is I will be working on, so I got CalChart, I work in Visual Studio Code. I will, be working on whatever sort of part of the code. And more recently, I'm like, oh, this indicates the ch lines I've changed. I will, um, for instance, actually, I was just in the middle of changing something interesting here. Like I wanted to do some code snippets here to clean things up. So I was doing an issue here that I filed for myself, which was, hey, remove some of these functions that don't make any sense anymore. So what I will do right now is I will git commit dash a dash m. I put in what issue I fixed. And that's been committed. So that means the code has been changed in my local branch. So I'm going to push that up to the server. And when I do that, it will create another, as you can see over here, like it's already been informed that there's a code change that's going to need to be made. I can open this pull request over here. It says, okay, you're going to make this change here. So I will create this pull request. And now what will happen is this will spin off a bunch of jobs on a server that will now it'll build it for the Mac, it'll build it for Linux. I'm still building for Linux. I don't know if anyone in the world is using Linux, but if someone out there is using Ubuntu, yeah, it works on Ubuntu. And the Windows build. So that will build everything. And when that's done and it looks good, it does run some basic tests. At that point, I will merge it in. And then when things look pretty good, what I do is I tag off the code and then a release gets made and this release notes gets put here and then you can download the latest assets. So essentially that's the workflow um, that I've like now, learning about maintaining all this has been quite an adventure, and it's actually been pretty useful for my job because I'll like learn it to do this, and then I'll go to work, and they'll be like, "Oh, we've added this new Git system," and I'm like, "Totally know it already." And they'll be like, "Yeah, well, you have to make these changes." Yeah, I'm already doing that. Okay, well, you have to make sure everything gets tested. Already got CI going, so it's been super
Awesome.
helpful to do, and it's also possibly there for students to do too if they wanted to get involved. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll hopefully see you at NorCal, and
Yeah, I'll be there.
yeah, maybe watching from the stands at ABD.
Yes. Yeah, I'll at some point I'll break out the trombone and come back on the field. So
No pressure. Take care.
thank you so
Anything
much,
else you
guys.
want, Allie? Oh,
Oh
the
wait,
recording's back.
so we're coming back, and so it gives me a chance to say, hey, thank you guys. Um, Thanks for the opportunity to talk about CalChart. Thanks for using CalChart. Really, actually, it's really I'm really glad to know about it, that people are using it, and I hope you have a great season. Go Bears!
Thank you. Thank you for all the work you do on CalChart. We really appreciate it so, so much. Go Bears.
All right, bye.